My name is Brian Kim. I'm a board-certified dermatologist, professor of dermatology, and vice chair of research at Mount Sinai Hospital. I'll be talking to you today about what causes itch, what are the most common forms of itch diseases, how to treat them, and I'll also be talking about some new and exciting treatments you may not have actually heard of. So what is itch exactly? Well, let me give you a simple example. If I take our neurotransmitter called histamine and I inject it into my forearm, it'll cause a little hive and it'll cause itching. Why does it do that? Histamine actually directly binds these small, thin nerves in my skin called C fibers. That triggers an electrical circuit to my spinal cord and up to my brain, and then I perceive itch. Of course, if you did that repeatedly over and over again, it would drive me crazy. Well, what's the source of histamine? Well, the source of histamine is actually the immune system. So what we know is that inflammation can cause itch. But also, itch can arise directly from the nerve independently of the immune system. And that kind of itch is called neuropathic itch. And then you could have situations where you either have cancer, your liver's failing, your kidneys failing. So certain metabolites are going up in your bloodstream and bombarding these nerves and causing itch. And we call that metabolic itch or cancer-associated itch. Then there are many cases that I see where patients, we don't know what they have. There's probably something going on either in their nerves or in their immune system. It's causing their itch. But at the end of the day, there are many ways that you get itch. And what I will be talking about and what I'd like to talk about is what are the different forms of itch, those common forms, and how do we treat them. A lot of patients come to see me and they're itching and they might be itching for a long time. And the first question is, why am I itching? What do I have? Well, there's certain things we have to do to figure out what's actually causing someone to itch. And there's some simple mental frameworks we can use. First is the itch actually caused by something in the environment or is it coming from within? That's a huge distinction. In other words, are they getting bug bites? Is there an allergen in the environment? Is there something else like a medication that's triggering the itching? Once we rule that out, or even if we rule that in, we can actually treat that component and we can eliminate that as a potential cause. But then once it comes within the body, we need to now figure out what is it? Is it the immune system? Is it that the skin is dry? Is there something wrong with an organ like the liver or the kidney, or is there cancer that we need to make sure is okay? Or are the nerves misfiring? Is there something wrong with the nerves and that's causing the itching? So there are a number of ways in which we can go about trying to figure out what the cause of the itch is, whether it's in the environment or from within. All right, so you have pink itchy bumps throughout your body. You don't know what's causing it. The first thing is to determine, is it in the environment or is it from within? Well, it's easy to try to rule out something from the environment. You probably or might have bug bites if you've been out and exposed throughout the wilderness or something like that. And you might want to wonder what kind of bugs you might be exposed to. All of us recognize what mosquito bites look like. We might see a mosquito, in fact, biting us. So that's usually not much of a mystery. You might have pink bumps itching below the knees when you go for a long walk in the grass. Those are probably trigger bites. Nothing to worry about, but that's what they are. They're not usually going to be much above the knees. Say that you actually go swimming and you come back with itchy bumps beneath your bathing suit, then you probably have swimmer's itch, which is due to parasites in the water. Again, not a big deal, nothing to really worry about. Well, you might have actually stayed in a hotel room somewhere for a few days and you come back with itchy bumps in little tiny clusters of pink bumps throughout the body. That's a bit of a bigger deal because what you probably actually gotten bitten by are actually bed bugs. And the bed bugs might actually be in your luggage and they might have actually come home with you and you need to figure out a way to make sure that you get rid of them. And we can talk about that. But you might also have itchy, scratchy pink bumps between your fingers, in your belly button, in your genitals. This is a little bit more serious too. Why? It's still a bug. It's actually a scabies mite that's living on your skin. It won't go away unless you treat it. So I'm taking you through a framework to understand there are things that are no big deal. They'll go away on their own. Others that need to be treated, or you need to do fumigation or something like that to get rid of the insects. So in the clinic and in my laboratory, we specialize in allergy-associated itching. And what do I mean by that? You might be exposed to an allergen, such as nickel or something like that, in your belt buckle, and you might be experiencing itching and rash. That condition is called allergic contact dermatitis. But we've actually figured out what actually causes the itching within allergic contact dermatitis. And this involves specific neuropeptides that are released from your skin. We also have identified how another condition called irritant contact dermatitis, where it's not so much of an allergy, but irritating substances actually directly stimulate immune cells or your nerve to cause itching and irritation within your skin as well. But there's another form of itching that a lot of people don't know about. It's not in textbooks. In fact, a lot of people don't even believe it exists, but it's actually a form of systemic allergic itching. So in other words, you're walking through New York City, it's springtime, there's pollen, allergens throughout the environment, allergens that we might not even be able to test for, but you're experiencing this kind of seasonal itching. It's the same kind of itching we believe that causes your eyes to itch and your nose to run if you have seasonal allergies. But imagine if you had that kind of itching throughout your whole body, and there are patients that experience this. And there are ways that we actually treat this in our clinic, but it's very, very unique. So there are many ways by which you can actually develop allergy to substances topically on your skin, irritation, or allergic itching throughout your entire body where you're experiencing it on every part of your skin. There are lots of itch treatments that are many itch conditions, so it might be overwhelming to try to understand what to try first if you're having certain kinds of itching. Well, let's start with dry skin itch, which is actually very similar to eczema itch as well, so this can apply to both. But one of the things that you want to understand is that you want to use creams or moisturizers that don't have too many chemicals in them. There are actually a lot of moisturizers that are fairly devoid of different kinds of ingredients. One that comes to mind is Vana cream, which is really good if you're prone to developing allergies in the skin. But there are many good moisturizers out there, whether it's from brands like Eucerin or CeraVe, but also just plain old Vaseline, which is just petrolatum. Aquaphor is basically petrolatum with a little bit of lanolin as well. But you really want to use things that are not irritating your skin. In other words, if you're using something and it causes a little bit of burning and stinging, you need to stop and then find a different moisturizer that might be even more bland than what you're using. So that's the key point for when you're using moisturizers. I prefer moisturizers that are thicker, that are in jars, that are either in ointment form or thick creams. So another way we solve itch, particularly in the form of eczema, usually you've already used moisturizers that didn't work. You tried many different kinds of moisturizers, and now you have to escalate. What do? Well, one thing you can do is use prescription topical steroids to get rid of the inflammation. This is our tried and true way. This is our mainstay therapeutic. We've done it a lot. But what I'm really excited about right now is another drug called topical ruxolitinib. It's actually a medication that is fairly new. I had a very important role in actually developing this as well, full disclaimer. But this drug is very different. It's anti-inflammatory, it's anti-itch. It actually directly hits the itch nerves in your skin in eczema really well. There's actually data showing that itch improves within 15 minutes after application. This is really unique and quite revolutionary, and we think that this will work for many forms of itch, not just eczema itch, but dry skin itch and other kinds of inflammatory itch diseases. So how else do we treat itch? Say you have eczema, you've tried over-the-counter moisturizers, you tried all different kinds, it failed. You move to prescription topical steroids. You might even use a new medication called topical ruxolitinib. That's really fancy, but you just have too much eczema, too much itch to really get rid of it. What do you have to do now? Now you have to escalate to systemic agents. What are some great systemic agents? Well, systemic agents include agents such as dupilumab, tralokinumab. These are medications that are called monoclonal antibodies. You inject them. They're actually quite safe. They work incredibly well, and they shut down inflammation and itch by directly antagonizing itch at the nerves as well. There's another class of medications called JAK inhibitors. These include abrocitinib or upadacitinib. They actually directly inhibit an enzyme called Janus kinase or JAK. These have a little bit more in the way of side effects. You want to talk to your doctor about it before you go on them. But these are the array of agents that are available for people with moderate to severe atopic dermatitis or eczema, and of course the itch associated with their eczema. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you learned a bit about new itch biology and clinical itch and how to treat itch. Please like us and subscribe to this channel so we can reach more patients suffering from chronic itch.